The competition of speed is what fills these seats. Tens of thousands of race fans pass through these gates and pour into the open field, many carrying traditions and stories passed down to them. Anticipation builds as they wait for the sound of drivers revving their engines, the sound making their hearts skip a beat. They feel a rush as cars speed past them at 180 miles per hour with the smell of tires burning across fresh pavement. They watch as their hero passes them by, the wind sending a chill as they try to keep up. They think back to drivers who have raced this track, legends who have left their mark. The competition of speed creates an atmosphere like none other, one that Gateway Motorsports Park has brought back to St. Louis with the reintroduction of the IndyCar Series. It's an experience that was cherished in the 90s, one that returned just last year. It's an event that will continue to bring the competition of speed. It will bring the thrill of the race, the adrenaline rush that runs so deep. This atmosphere is here to stay, giving race fans the opportunity to take it all in, to create new memories, new traditions that can be passed on from generation to generation.
It's a long story of how I got here, but it's a great story. It's a part of the private business side, the community coming together with race fans, and it really just all intersected at one point in 2011, and I wound up with the opportunity to purchase the racetrack. I realized that this was an opportunity that I should take. I was the guy uniquely positioned with some real estate background, with some racing background, to really try to make a difference in the community. So haven't looked back since.
The first car race at Gateway Motorsports Park was in 1997. The last IndyCar race was in 2003. After a 4-year hiatus, Curtis Francois brought IndyCar racing back to St. Louis.
The St. Louis racing fan is unrivaled here in the Midwest and really across the United States. There is a tremendous base of IndyCar fans, of sports car fans, of drag racing fans. And when I had the opportunity to really go back and introduce myself to them, I had some credibility as a racer, and say, guys, let's go back and rebuild this racetrack. Let's start from the foundation and build it as a grassroots-focused motorsports park. And that really rallied the troops, so to speak. And over the years, they have not let me down. We continue to grow, and it really is largely to do to this great fan base that we have here in St. Louis.
Since the new ownership took over in 2011, the 1.25-mile oval has hosted 6 national events, including the IndyCar Series, the Bommarito Automotive Group 500.
When the opportunity to come to get into IndyCar, when they came to us, we were definitely looking at it and say, this needs to be a local sponsor. This needs to be somebody that knows how to work with the track directly, get involved with the day-to-day events, knows the marketplace and knows the people, and actually knows how to put basically people into an area where they're going to have a first-class experience.
The IndyCar race is a perfect opportunity for a new fan to come out. And I say that because it is not just a race, but it's an event. It is really an opportunity to come out. You're going to see some racing, but you're also going to see history being made. The cars and stars from the Indianapolis 500 are here. It's a very international event. It's just a great time to showcase St. Louis and a neat event for people to come out and see.
You know, you've got the Cardinals, the Blues, and now you've got world-class racing at Gateway Motorsports Park. And IndyCar was built for night racing. It's a night race. And it's unbelievably beautiful at night. And you know, to see a car go around the track at 180 miles an hour, 200 miles an hour plus on a straightaway between 2 concrete walls and passing each other, and if you've never seen it in person, TV never does it justice.
It's definitely something that you have to experience up close and personal. Watching it on TV is a good experience, but once you get down up and close, you get a chance to meet the drivers, get into the pits, meet the technicians, learn how much work goes into what they actually do on the track and make it look so easy. You're definitely hooked. It's nothing like any other sport. They want you to know what's going on, they want you to get to know them, and then when they're out on the track, they want you to follow them, and it's an awesome experience.
The racing part is the highlight, but you come out, you get a great food, and you have a fun time gaming and autograph session actually to get the favorite to the driver or favorite team. You can get close to the garage and all sorts of things. It's fantastic.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 offers fans the chance to feel the competition of speed up close and personal. It's an IndyCar race brought back to St. Louis, giving fans the opportunity to see for themselves what real-life racing is all about. When we return, we'll take a look back at the 2017 Bommarito Automotive Group 500 race, and we'll meet a few of this year's top drivers. The Bommarito 500 preview on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by the Bommarito Automotive Group, where Price sells cars.
This is about building a community for the racing community. It also is about just really trying to work within St. Louis and have some positive stories. We're seeing St. Louis succeed. I'm proud of St. Louis. This is a bigger story actually nationally than it is in St. Louis. They're talking about the racetrack, they're talking about the race. A lot of that is because we have so many people pulling the rope together to make sure that we are seen in the best possible light, and this event is a success. And by all measures, it certainly was a success last year.
After 14 years, IndyCar is back in St. Louis, and the community has been eagerly anticipating this night.
The atmosphere was electrifying.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
You know, there was 40,000 plus people here.
It's just an outpouring of support from the drivers and for IndyCar.
A heck of a crowd out here to watch you. They're still in line out here in the parking lot.
It's an exciting event. It's a night event and sensation. The IndyCar going to turn 1 over 200 miles per hour, which is fantastic.
And here we go from Gateway.
Newgard goes to the lead. Oh, Will Power.
One of the championship contenders.
Oh!
And then up on his lane over the top is Ed Carpenter.
Caution's out. Will's in the wall, outside 2.
We, as a driver, sitting and driving, but we still pulled by 4Gs and 5Gs, which is 5 times your body weight. Our heartbeat never below 170 during the race. Like, let's say, so 1.5 hours to 2 hours race, your heartbeat is over hovering at 170, 185. And I particularly lose 4 to 5 pounds of body weight after every single race. So imagine how much energy you burn.
And look at the run for Castroneves.
Yeah, loose? No, I think our right front tire went down.
Everything is very, very strict, and you have to train, because that's ultimately you want to, and ultimate performance, and that's how I train. Especially for me, it's kind of very old group of days now, but it still has to be to keep on going.
They will not make contact, and Pagano stays in front.
He's got to run.
On the low.
Whoa! Whoa! He's stuffing it in.
Oh, boy! Nice job. He pushed.
Newgard goes back to the front.
Dixon's going to take over second now.
That bumper, they've boy, hit me.
Joseph Newgarden is going to win for the 4th time in 2017. Newgarden takes control of the championship.
Yes!
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500, a prestigious event on the IndyCar circuit that returned to action last year in St. Louis. The winner, American driver Joseph Newgarden. He's back for his 2nd race at Gateway Motorsports Park, looking to add to his impressive resume. He's a 10-time IndyCar race winner, including a career-best 4 wins in 2017. Newgarden won the 2017 Verizon IndyCar Series Championship in his first season with Team Penske. His dominating win in Iowa in 2016 set an IndyCar record for most laps led by a race winner. 4-time series champion Scott Dixon is expected to be among the drivers who will take the green on Saturday night. Dixon re-upped with Chip Ganassi Racing and is expected to stay with the team through the 2019 season and beyond. His 44 wins, including the 2008 Indy 500, puts him 3rd all-time in series wins, behind only A.J. Foyt and Mario Andretti. The first rookie to win the Indy 500 since 2001, and the first American rookie to win at Indianapolis since 1928. Alexander Rossi will be in attendance in St. Louis. After winning the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500 in 2016, Rossi has won 4 races since, including 3 in the 2018 campaign. Veteran IndyCar driver Will Power ended years of frustration by claiming the 2018 Borg-Warner Trophy to cap his month of May. Power has been a model of consistency, winning at least 1 race in each of the past 12 seasons. Ryan Hunter-Reay, the most successful active American driver in open-wheel competition, will be among the racers. Hunter-Reay is in an elite club of drivers who have won an Indy 500 and an IndyCar Series championship. He holds Rookie of the Year honors for the 2007 Verizon IndyCar Series, and the 2008 Indianapolis 500. Simon Pagenaud returns to Gateway looking to improve his podium finish in 2017. The 2016 Verizon IndyCar Series champion returns to Team Penske for his 4th season. 10 years ago, familiar racing name Graham Rahal became the youngest driver to win an IndyCar race when he took the checkered flag at St. Petersburg. A decade later, he's still looking for his first series title while driving for his father, IndyCar legend Bobby Rahal. Ex-Formula One racer Takuma Sato was a quick study making the transition to ovals, becoming the first Japanese driver to win the Indianapolis 500 in 2017. Sato rejoins Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing after spending the last racing season at Andretti Autosports. Gateway Motorsports Park will host round 15 of 17 as the race for the championship nears its close and is the final oval on the schedule as the season comes to an end. Still to come on the Bommarito 500 preview, we'll take an inside look at updates on the oval and new series safety measures. The IndyCar Series consists of 17 races, all in different cities, all on unique tracks. The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 is the third to last race of the season and the final oval on the circuit.
It's kind of a unique racetrack, and some people say, well, it's more than a mile long track, so it should be considered a super speedway. And other people are saying, well, it races like a short track. So it's very unique. And one of the things we hear about in this day and age of racing are people are complaining about cookie cutter racetracks, all the mile-and-a-half travel ovals. Well, with this track, it's anything but that. So you can take the best pieces of so many other tracks, and it lends to great racing, whether it's in the stock cars or even with the Indy cars. It's a challenging track. You can't just sit there and go on cruise control. You really have to work. And that's one of the great things about this year's race. We have a new Indy car, which is different from the ones last year. Last year's cars had a lot more downforce, so when they were going around the racetrack, it was just put the pedal to the metal and go. Now they have to be finessing their way through the turns. You really have to really drive the race car. So the better drivers are going to rise to the top. The guys who are struggling in the back, or the guys who are complaining that they need more downforce, those are the guys that are going to be chasing their tail all weekend.
As people come out, they're going to see an opportunity to, one, you can see the entire racetrack, but also you're going to see great racing, great opportunities for passing, and with the new pavement that we put in last year, you're seeing higher speeds, speed records fall, and it's really just an opportunity to see racing at the highest level.
The racers are loving the track. You take the passing that we're seeing on our racetrack, and it's improved now with its new pavement and the steps that we've taken. And this new Indy car is producing record number of lead changes at all the other tracks that they're going to. So I think the two of those combined should make a tremendous race here, and the drivers are pretty excited about it.
Indianapolis Motor Speedway is just an atypical, very large, huge super speedway, which you clock into over 235 miles per hour in average. In here, short oval, so we have a different package. We have a lot more downforce compared to the Indy 500 in order to make it turn, because short oval means it's a lot tighter corner. But Gateway is what's so unique is that turn 1 and 2 has kind of high banking, but turn 3 and 4 is sort of flat. So for the drivers and the engineer to try to make a car, the bit of trade-off or compromise is extremely challenging. So that's why it's always fun, because some of the drivers good in turn 1 and 2, some of the drivers good in turn 3 and 4 in terms of car performance. That making more overtaking opportunity.
At high speeds in oval racing, safety is always a concern. As part of the never-ending quest to make the cars safer, teams and drivers recently made adjustments to an unlikely part of the car, the steering wheel.
In 2013, an IndyCar safety analysis confirmed that hand and wrist injuries were on the rise, partly due to the violent nature of the way the steering wheel would rotate in the event of a crash. Now, since that time, the hand and wrist injuries have been reduced because they realized the molded hand grips the drivers use, they become a bit too robust. This is the current wheel for Scott Dixon. You can see it still has molded hand grips, but it's been contoured, so most importantly, he can get his thumb or hand off the wheel easily. That has reduced injuries. That was step A. Step B, let's find a mechanical way to stop that violent motion of the steering wheel. Now, in the engineering and safety department, Director Jeff Horton realized when he looked at the data that even the fastest hands in the paddock, that a driver could not move the steering rack faster than 5 inches per second. But in an accident, it could be 10 times that speed. So he came up with the concept, together and working with Penske Shocks, to come up with a steering rack that now has a steering damper. This has shock absorber parts inside it and has a fluid tube here to have fluid go from one side to the other. So in normal use, it works just like a standard rack. But in an accident, it latches into position. Now, the test rig data of this unit is phenomenal. If you look at a standard rack and see it being contacted by a 1,600-pound sled, you can see the violent rotation and the speed in which that translates to the wheel. But now look what happens if you put in the steering damper and a steering arm. Now that same 1,600-pound sled, when it contacts that steering damper, it stops the wheel motion, and now it's the steering arm that takes the load, and that's what failed. So it's a very unique concept, unique to IndyCar, but what a clever way of doing that, taking that energy, instead of to the driver's hands, now goes to the steering arm. Those tests were so impressive that there are now 3 prototypes available. The rest of 2018, these will be tried on cars, races, testing, and if the testing on the car goes as well as it has on the test rigs, look potentially for this to be implemented in 2019.
When we return on the Bommarito 500 preview, we'll hear from the guys driving the show and talk about what fans can expect race weekend. The Bommarito 500 preview on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by the Bommarito Automotive Group, where Price sells cars. The Bommarito Group 500 is one of 3 night races on the IndyCar schedule. The night races present a unique challenge as drivers and their teams strive to get their cars running at peak performance.
During the night goes, as the track temperature is going down and down, the balance shift is changing too. So we driver has to communicate with the pit. So okay, next pit stop, car's getting a little loose. Usually in the car, the front tire getting more grip. So we basically taking the front wing out, and also the tire pressure is adjusting according to. So it's a lot of things happening. That's why communication is vital, and also telemetry system, so that all the engineers watching all the numbers and what's happening. So I think it's a race is very exciting because it's just a sport for the human, but secondly, it is the machine sports too. That it's very fascinating for the technical side, and it's absolutely science.
IndyCar racing. It's an event everyone should experience, an opportunity to build traditions and new memories. It's a welcome sporting edition that's back in St. Louis.
Our goal with St. Louis is bring extraordinary world-class racing back to the marketplace. This vehicle, Gateway Motorsports Park, and what Curtis and his team have done here is something that will go down in the history books, and we want to be part of it. We want to say, hey, look, Bommarito not only sells cars and facilitates vehicles to everyone in every driveway in the St. Louis marketplace, but they've helped Gateway and Motorsports Park and their team actually set the bar for world-class racing in the St. Louis region. And I'll tell you, 20 years, 30, 40 years from now, okay, this track will still be here, and we have made history. This is definitely the place to see world-class racing at every level.
There's certain highlights along the way that we've had at Gateway. We've had a tremendous amount of successes, but when I met John and we started talking about the opportunity to sponsor the IndyCar race, I knew that I had the right marketing partner there. John does a tremendous job with his dealerships, and he's brought a lot of that passion to the IndyCar market. And that, coupled with our staff and just what I've done with the racetrack and the positioning it to succeed, has been the perfect match. I don't think you'll find a sponsor in the country that works harder to really activate his sponsorship. It's a great partnership.
I'll tell you, growing up, I've always been very, very fond of automobiles. And then, of course, the more I got involved with IndyCar, I really got hooked. I found out that it's a good, free adrenaline rush, okay? And when you leave the track, it's definitely a memory of a lifetime and an experience of a lifetime.
For me, it's a dream come true. We're the only local sponsor on the IndyCar circuit. Being with Bommarito, we've got all the local marketing contacts, and we got really good relationships with people like Fox Sports, and we're able to market, and we're able to help turn people out to the track.
It's a festival. We've taken a look at the most successful events all across the country, whether it's Long Beach or Indianapolis, and we wanted to try to take different elements that we felt worked at those tracks and bring them here. So we wanted to be more than just people showing up, walking to their seats, sitting down and watching a race. We want them to be engaged. While racing might not be your thing, the overall spectacle of the happening, that's what we're trying to produce.
The competition of speed at the IndyCar level is here in St. Louis. It's a national event with a local feel. It's a spectacle in racing, not to be missed.